Previously on Build It Live.
Well, hello there, community. It's me. I'm back again from Tuesday to Thursday. I'm Jason Rom, and Aubrey and I are going to do this thing together today.
We
went through iterations over time, learning how to do things in the F5 distributed cloud, and now we're learned and we know how to do stuff. And so what we're going to do today is take what we just saw in that introduction over the course of 5 shows. We're going to do it in one. And so we're still going to do click ops this time. And then in a future episode, we're going to turn that into automation and see if we can automate that. Now, some of it, especially like the deployment of our CEs, probably that part won't be as automated. But we'll turn this thing into a path towards automation, and then eventually start exploring a lot of the other amazing features within the F5 distributed cloud. So, Aubrey, where are we going to start today?
Well, I think we've got a couple of things built here. Should we? I mean, you think we should get right down into the sharing of the desktop and kind of show off where we are? We do have a couple things we want to get kind of out there just to show the community still.
Yes.
Okay, so here, let me share. This would be my distributed cloud console. So this is, again, the DevCentral tenant that we appropriated last time. And if I go on in here to multi-cloud network connect, right, we do have a couple of things that are built. We didn't want to start with, building 20 minutes or 30 minutes of site building and kind of sitting and just waiting for software to upgrade and install. We wanted to get right into the meat of things. But if you take a look, what we have built is an AppStack site today. So we've got Jason's AppStack site, and I do not have an AppStack site ready to go. So I think what we wanted to do is we've already got a domain that's delegated here. thismonthinsecurity.com is already delegated to the distributed cloud, so we're going to be using that to bring up our services to show you today. I think we still have a token. One of the things that you need to use to build is a token. So if we kind of get down into that, we've got to go into managing this guy, and where is that now? Site management and site tokens, I think. Yeah, so site management, site tokens. Now, one of the things that we wanted to show is that you really only need one. You don't need a million tokens for your enterprise solution. You just need one because you got to be able to paste this into your site as you build it. So the next thing we wanted to kind of get through, and actually, if we show what adding a site token is, I mean, really, it's you give it a name and it generates a token for you to utilize, which is a unique identifier. Moving on, we wanted to make sure that we have a namespace for our application. So where we can go to that, we get a couple of different ways that we can do that. We can go back to the main page and head down to administration if we wanted to, but I'll show you a shortcut right through your account. If I go to the top right into account settings, I can go into my namespaces and let's add this namespace. We're going right into it. What do we want to call this one? Is it DC Media?
Sure.
All right. DevCentral Media. And then we've got to get some users with implicit roles right here. These are the guys we want. It's myself, Boo, and Jason. So,
yeah, and if you're setting this up and you're setting up a namespace for a particular group of users, then you would add them specifically. We're all admins, so we're automatically going to have those permissions. But for like if we had a large organization and finance or dev or test or whatever all had different users working in those namespaces, that's where you would add them directly beyond who are already admins in the portal.
That's right. So that leaves us with our namespace. And if you've not created a Kubernetes namespace before, well, I just did it. It was pretty simple. So we've again, that's, I guess the idea here is to make sure that this ClickOps is as easy as possible for people who are not used to command line Kubernetes yet. Not everybody is a CKA like Mr. Ram. In fact, I am not. So have studied it, just haven't gotten. What did we want to do after this? It's creating a cluster would be the next one. So you've got your cluster already created. So let's show people where that is. Again, distributed apps manage, right? So if I go back into my distributed applications and then manage, we've got what is it? Manage K8's clusters.
Yep.
So here we are. We've got Jason's app stack cluster, and if let's take a look at it just to see what we've got here. If I edit the configuration, it'll look kind of just like it did. And if I really want to get fancy, I should be able to take the JSON from out of this and simply paste it into a new one and make my modifications. So here I go. I'm going to highlight everything and paste that guy in there, but we're going to change JR to AK, app stack cluster 0. And that's it. I have a cluster defined.
You might have your go into yours again and expand your JSON.
Sure. If I go in system,
is that the whole spec?
That is it.
Okay.
Yep. We didn't do anything fancy with these guys. Not yet. Not yet. All right. So now that we've got that, we wanted to make sure that we're down into the app stack site. So I have to build
a
CE.
That's the part I was like, I was a step ahead or behind.
So yeah, that's the groundwork, and now getting right into building the CE. As Jason mentioned, he is the step ahead. So if we go into Multi-Cloud Network Connect,
and while he's getting there, one of the reasons we had one prepared is so while his is actually building, registering, and all that, which takes time, we can move on to actually building out the workloads with an app stack that's already present in the system. So mine's there. We're walking through how to build it, and then while it does its thing on the back end, we can move on.
That's right. So here I am. I get to add an app stack site, right? So this is going to be AK-site-0 to match up with Jason's. And actually, I wonder if we can do the same trick just in case we're let's try it. I'm going to actually, because Coleman like threw down the gauntlet. If anyone that doesn't know Michael Coleman, he can be a very, a challenging kind of guy. So he sort of challenged us to do it faster. I don't think we're going to beat 10 minutes, which he did recently, but
we won't start the clock until we actually start at the VK8s forward, right?
Okay. So, all right. We did agree on that. All right. So let's see what happens if I use the same trick twice. I'm going to paste in Jason's and modify this so that it's AK app stack site 0. I want all the same models because we have the same machine, right? We're building on, we're building on everything identically. So KVM volt stack combo, same thing, except we want to make sure that our master node configuration is going to be AK app stack primary node 0. And as we move on down, we want to clear out the Latin long because that is not mine. Let me see if I have my foo file still. I do not.
Are you editing mine or did you copy that into yours?
Nope, I copied this into mine.
Okay, cool.
So if I want to find my latitude and longitude real quick, because that's something you do need, I'm going to go to maps.google.com and we're going to search for Nick Pajos. Oh, that is not what I searched for. Nick Pajos in Rochester. If anyone does not know what garbage plate is, this is the originator of the garbage plate. So I have now copied that to my clipboard and I'm pasting it in a text file elsewhere so I can copy and paste this directly in here. So paste, there's the first one. And then that's my latitude. And now my longitude is going to be next. Okay. I have my Latin long, still the same tenant. The name is going to be AK, AppStack Cluster 0. And we don't have a site state, but we're going to try. Hopefully this works. All right. Okay, so I've defined it, right? And now I am going to...
Yeah, at this point, you go off box and you start building all the other stuff locally, right?
Yes. Yep. So we could show how that's done, or do you want me to just kind of move on?
Yeah,
while you...
get to your term and do your vert manager and get that part going. And then once you get your config done on that, then that's a matter of accepting that registration and then waiting for it to do its thing. So yeah, we can go through that real quick.
Okay, hopefully this works out. Here we are, virtual machine manager. We'll show that. I may need to change some windows here. You can see that everything that I've got is already, destroyed or shut off at this point if you're not familiar with KVM. So I'm going to delete this. Now, what is this? This is, right now, this is a virtual machine manager, which is a UI on my Mac that connects on into KVM so that I can add virtual machines and do whatever I need to. All right, so if I go ahead and add a new VM, I think I do need to share that screen too. So hang on a minute. I love that.
Incidentally, my virtual machine manager is connecting to my Nook, but I have misplaced and forgotten my password to the Nook, so I can create workloads on it, but I can't connect to it anymore. So,
oops.
I know I wrote it down on a piece of paper somewhere. So, you like walk away, and I for my lab stuff, I usually use the same password for everything. Just incidentally, if you compromise my local network, you own me. So because all my lab, at least you own all my lab stuff, but it's on a segmented network and firewalled off anyway. But anyway, I usually use the same password. Apparently I did not for that box for some dumb reason.
All right. So if anyone missed it there, I just selected to use local media, which is, pretty basic. I'm also making sure that I got 16384 here in terms of RAM. 16384. And we're doing 8 CPUs on this guy.
One of the
So
many mispronunciations of my last name, Ram.
Ram. Jason, really? People called you Jason Ram?
Oh yeah, Ram, Rahim. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know where that one came. Oh yeah.
Okay. We're creating. I'm making 200 gig for this just in case. I don't have a NAS at my disposal like Jason does, so I've got to kind of make it work for now. And here at the last, we want to name this appropriately. So this is going to be AK. What did we call it? It was AK AppStack Site 0.
Yeah, I think so.
Site 0. Let me make sure that was my what's my node name here? No node name, site status.
Oh, like primary.
Yes, I thought for sure that I had another bit there. Okay, actually, let me not click into it. The better idea would have been to manage it. AppStack Site 0. There it is. I want to make sure that this matches just because I want to be very careful about that. All right. Paste. And I want to configure this, customize the configuration before I install it. I don't want to have NAT. I want to bridge this. So, and I think this is on BR0, Bridge 0 interface. So we're going to go ahead and finish. And that pops up yet another window, which I will go ahead and share. And I would just share everything, but my desktop is super messy. I don't know about yours, but community, but mine is. So let's see if we add this back in. Perfect. So this will show you all the nitty gritty that you can configure with a KVM virtual machine. What we want to make sure that we've got here is the CPUs kind of match up and look exactly like I want. You want to copy the host CPU configuration just to make sure everything's good. Then I've got my bridge. And did you add an internal? No, we did not. I think we took a look at that. That's right. Okay, so this should be it. Back in the day, we used to have to make sure that the disk was VirtIO, but they made sure to get that done. And you don't have to kill the disk cache anymore. That was also something that we needed to do at the beginning. That is no longer something that we have to get done. So I think I'm good to go, and I'm going to begin the installation. So at this point, it began allocating space for my QCOW. You can't see that window. And it's creating the virtual machine. So at this point, it is going to take a little bit of time. I should probably go ahead and show the initial configuration too. So let me present that. Another window, which is funny because it just transformed the first window. So you can see here this friendly Volterra Edge. This has my, my terminal. So it just defaulted to install, and now we can kind of watch everything go forth. Now,
yeah, this part doesn't take too long. The long part is once you accept your registration for it to provision and get everything to get ready to go in distributed cloud. So this part's pretty quick.
Yeah. Typically, it is fairly fast. Of course, my download speed's not so bad, but my upload speed is horrendous. So it really is. Like, I end up, whenever we record something here in StreamYard, I end up having to wait for my local recordings to upload to the cloud. Unfortunately, I'm always the last one. All right. Now, as Jason mentioned, we're going to have to go back and get our token, which was created at the very beginning. It was already created for the purpose of this one. I'm going to go ahead and get that again. Site token.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, while he's grabbing that information, one of the things we learned along the way is order of operations, right? We in the first video that we did in our Build It Live, we created our CE instances before we had created a site in distributed cloud, and there was never going to be a way where those things synced up. So the key there is you create your cluster on which you saw Aubrey do a little bit ago, and then you create your site, and then you create your customer edge to map to those values, so that when the registration happens, there's all kinds of magical goodness between the two.
That is right. Setting up tunnels and exchanging keys and all kinds of stuff. Actually, we found out the hard way, like if you try to hack root on one of these guys, that one of the first things that it does when it connects up and on boot, a CE, a customer edge node, will reach back out to the main distributed cloud site, and it will re-download its root identification. So, typically if you want to hack root on a Red Hat machine, all you really have to do is reboot into single user mode, change the root password, and when you reboot, you're good to go. But when you reboot on this guy, after you've changed that root password to something you expect, it grabs something new and the hash is completely obliterated right upon boot. So I have not found a reliable way to hack root for more than a few seconds on this thing.
Yeah.
We even tried to, troot things and sort of trick it into being an active system, even out of single user mode. Nothing worked out to get that done. So here we're seeing that this thing is coming back up. I am ready to go. So first login is going to be, no, it was admin.
Yep.
And the initial password is capital V, Ultera, 23. Come on. Oh, it didn't like me. And there it is.
Boom.
Now, you must change password during first login. I think it didn't like me right there.
Yeah, I think that when that login prompt first shows up there, it's still doing a couple things, because that happened to me too. I was eager to get in and get things changed, but it did reset my login there a couple times, while some services I think were still coming up.
I've successfully changed my password.
Whoop, whoop.
Gotta love that. All right. And now from there, I can go right into config, if I recall correctly, right? Is that?
Yeah, if you want to do that here, but you were going to do that from a terminal so that you could have easy copy and paste, right? You get your IP address
that is
from
right.
health.
So, yep. I like health. So here's where I can find my local IP address. Non-routable is 1.184. Let me log in on a normal terminal, and then we will share that.
And King family residents, if you're watching this, don't DDoS that IP right now.
Oh, man. It's noon? I have teenagers. I don't think they're up yet.
My 23-year-old, he's in the room behind me. He's live streaming right now, and I don't think he's going to bed yet. So I think he's going to bed soon and be up sometime this evening.
What was it? 184, I said, right?
Yep. 1.184.
Okay, I'm fingerprinted and okay, I'm logged in. So let me share my new screen. And if I share, and add to stream, there we go. So we are looking at roughly the same thing, right? Except now I have the ability to copy and paste things in. So at that point, let me just close a couple things on my side. I don't need to have Virtual Machine Manager open anymore. Okay, so we're looking at this, and one thing I like to always highlight here is that I just hit a C, and it gives me the other, any commands that I can run with that. So I go ahead and type configure and my token, which it needs. I have that highlighted, so I can copy and paste. That's the UUI or the UID rather out of the site token that we created. or that I showed. And my site name is going to be, I want to look that up again and make sure that it's the same as my app. It's going to be AppStack, AK AppStack Site 0, I think is the name of it. Yep, let me just get that to a point where I can easily paste that. And I think it's probably best to make these guys match up. So paste. There it is. And my host name is, again, AK AppStack Primary Node 0 is what I used. Now, don't forget, we defined these in my AppStack site, which is why now that we're, when you build a normal customer edge node for networking or something like that, if you're not doing, Kubernetes on site, it doesn't really matter. None of this portion matters much. But for this portion, if we're doing the AppStack, we want to make sure that they match up. Oh, it looks like I gotta do my lat long again. Oh, there we go. Luckily, I have it in the same terminal. All right, so copy. That's my latitude. Enter, and my long is here.
Last time I built mine before yesterday, I'd blown it away and created it, and I got them backwards, and I ended up somewhere in south of the equator in the Indian Ocean somewhere, and so it connected to, I think, Hong Kong and there was another one maybe in India somewhere, but it was it's like that's probably not going to be the best performance.
No,
from where we are. So
no,
maybe
because yeah, I mean, if it's advertised out of there, of course, you're gonna have, I think, connections try to get there first,
right? And if I'm the one connecting to it for test loads, right, I connect all the way out there to connect all the way back, like 8 feet from me, right?
That's right. And with that, I think we're done. So
yeah. If you've confirmed your configuration, the next step is to go back into your portal and to see if your registration is there waiting for you to approve.
Well, let's take a look. It might take a minute. Sometimes the registration takes a second to come up. But if I go ahead and add this back here, I should be able to have its site management and registrations.
And
boom, look at that.
There you are waiting.
It's my host name that I put in with the cluster name already populated, and I hit check. Good to go. Look at all this stuff and make sure everything's what I expect it to be. Default software, default OS, all that stuff is good. So we're going to save and exit. And at that point,
you refresh that real quick, because then it'll say, that if you refresh that, we'll get an update.
Ta-da! Nope. Oh, refresh here. Yeah.
All right. So if you go back over there to other registrations, it's like, whoa, what happened to my registration? Well, it's not pending anymore. It's been admitted. So now we're in the wait stage. So you can go back to site management sites and you see that that's in a provisioning state, and that could take 5 minutes. It could take the rest of the show, right? So now, because we already have a live site in mind, we can actually go build a workload. And the cool thing is, because we're going to build a virtual K8S site, then as soon as his site's available, it's just going to slide in and be another node. So, if you're familiar with Kubernetes at all, it's like, you have all your workloads and all that. You add a node, and then boom, hey, we got this new thing we can send workloads to. That's great. And so that's cool. And so next steps are, what are we doing next? Okay, so now that we've built the infrastructure side of it on the local side, now we need to actually build the distributed cloud infrastructure, and so that's our next few steps here. And the first thing is, you already created your namespace, right? So we have DC Media, so we want to switch into that namespace, and that's something, frankly, when I've as I'm getting to know the system, that I forget all the time, is to make sure I'm in the right namespace.
Me too.
And that's true at the command line or in the GUI. Making sure I'm in the right namespace is one of those things that's just like, Jason, So
kubectl-n, right? I think that's
right.
correct.
Yep. So we
And
do
how-
have our cluster. Go ahead.
I just could only because I said kubectl. You say kubectl or kubectl?
Actually, I just use K most of the time as far as, but kubectl. Kubectl is what I normally say.
K
Yeah.
works. K
Yep.
works.
Yep.
All right. So let's see here. At this point, we need to create the virtual Kates. That's it, and then the virtual site.
Yep. So we do a little bit of bouncing, right? We create the virtual Kates, then we need to go create our site, and then we need to attach the site to the Kates.
This is DC Media. We need a virtual site.
Yeah, you can do those in the same step, but yeah.
All right. I remember when they first added the how to create your pool in the virtual server on Big IP.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it reminds me of this. I love that. All right, so we want to add a virtual site.
Yep,
that's cool. We're going to call this. What do you want to call it? DCVS or DC Vert site?
However you want to do that. I like to make sure it's we actually have we have a site attached to or an object. And from a nomenclature perspective, I know that from an object perspective in Kubernetes, we know that that's a virtual site. But I like to have it in the name just because it's helpful when I'm looking through or parsing an entire config, that the objects are what we think they're going to be. So I like to have the name of what it is in the actual name. Not everybody likes that nomenclature. That's the nomenclature I like. So for when you named your virtual Kates, I would have done DC VK8s or whatever. So we can get there. You don't have to stop here. You can do it when we get back.
You can do it. It's simple.
Yep.
And now we're going to add our site, which is DC Vert Site 0. This is a customer edge rather than a regional edge site.
Yep.
And I got to add the label. So what we're going to do here.
Site type.
Site type is equals CE.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
So
that's all you need.
What that does is that says anytime a CE is added to this configuration, it's going to become part of the virtual site. So
right now, if we wanted additional, parameters on that, it's like, well, I don't want every CE that comes into the system to be part of this because we might have different workloads and different environments and all that kind of stuff. So, but for us, that's all we need.
Yes. And we could, if we wanted to, we could have done this without a virtual site. We could have done this just on Jason's and then done another one just on mine. But we figured it'd be really cool if we could just kind of balance any sort of workloads across whatever CEs we have available. Specifically, we did that at the beginning so that when Boo got his all set and in, we could just start putting stuff in Boo's house too.
That's right.
So maybe when he's back from Europe.
there is a scenario for when we actually build out our application our real application that we're working on to where we would just have a workload going straight to mine because I think the data might live in mine, the access to that data might live in all of ours, and so it's a part where I'll add a or maybe not. I won't even need a virtual Kates because I can just go straight to my app stack.
And that's it. We don't need anything else for this, right?
Yep.
We could isolate services and whatnot, but we just don't need to. So right now our vkates is creating itself, and we should also have a virtual site defined now. So if we take a look at that, we do have our DC Vert Site 0 that is ready to go.
Well, that's one thing when we're kind of prepping for this show is like that I still need to start taking the shortcuts. When I'm early on in learning new technologies, I like to have more control. Maybe this is just a personality flaw, but I like to have an understanding of all the individual nerd knobs And so I'll create as many of them as possible in isolation. But the time saving, especially if you're going through the click hops versus the just posting schemas or in a declarative payload, those it's faster to just do it in one step, like you just did, rather than, hey, let's create the virtual site. I mean, the virtual Kubernetes, then let's create the virtual site, then let's go back to virtual Kubernetes and do that. So here, will you refresh that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's good.
Interesting though, it didn't. Will you select the virtual sites and see if one's already built in there?
It says one virtual site. Here
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, interesting. Okay. So it built the virtual site and attached in that one step, whereas I would go to do that independently. And I think the same will be when we go on now that we were going to start a timer and I didn't. Sorry Coleman, we didn't start our timer when we started building that virtual Kates. So anyway,
right.
So now we actually have a virtual Kubernetes cluster at this point, right?
Yep. And I just went into it now, and you can see that it automatically added your AppStack site, which is healthy. And it even added my AppStack site, which is not healthy yet. And it's only not healthy because it's going through and doing the upgrades. It's making sure it's got the latest software and that everything is secure before anyone can use it.
But all the configuration for it was in the system and there, and say, hey, that's part of me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to give it all the stuff that I'm going to be doing to Jason's AppStack site here. And ultimately what we want to do is just get a workload running and exposed to the internet. That's the idea. That's exactly where we were when we finished our last one. So I think we could probably go ahead and add a vCates workload here. And I think what we're going to call this one DC Media.
Sure.
And
we'll create a different workload for future shows. This is for today. It's just that let's build something soup to nuts and get it online in 1 hour. And that's the goal here. To show you how easy this really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really was exactly what we went through step by step in the first 5 hours of show. So we want to do this not as a simple service on all REs, which, by the way, if you want to put stuff up on an RE, you don't have to have a customer edge node. You can put Kubernetes services on regional edges. There are 22 of them now for the distributed cloud globally in our Anycast network. But we want to define an actual service here and configure it. So we're going to add a container. We're just going to call this one Nginx. And the image name that we're going to use is Nginx from the public registry. Now, hopefully we won't be blocked. You do only have a certain amount of pulls per day off Docker Hub. So we'll give that a shot. And we don't need any parameters. Where do we want to deploy it, though? That is what we want to do. We want to put this on our virtual site. We have a virtual site defined, which is our DC Virt site. I go ahead and apply that, come back in, and we're good to go on where we want to build it. Now, where do we want to advertise it? We don't want this in the cluster and have to do some extra Kubernetes stuff at the beginning. We want to just take this thing right to the internet. And get our service up as fast as possible. So we're going to advertise a port, and I think we're going to advertise on port 80 to begin with, because we're going to configure our load balancer, which Jason mentioned you can do 2 steps in one. Same thing here. We're going to call this dcmedia.xc.thismonth in security.com. All right, and we're going to make this an HTTP with automatic certificate, right? Let's lock it down. So we can also do an auto redirect, right? The most popular iRule on the planet. It's just a checkbox here.
That's right.
And our TLS security is high by default. So I feel comfortable with that. I'm going to go ahead and apply it. So now we know exactly what we're advertising, where it's built, and where we are advertising it. We hit apply. And now that's our defined service. With our defined metadata for our vCates workload, we're going to save and exit and watch it build, we hope. So
And so what's cool about that as you're building the workload.
All right.
Yeah, the cool thing while that workload is building is actually it's kind of like going through a wizard on Big IP, right? Because it's building a lot of objects for you in that you're building the actual service deployment in Kubernetes, and it's doing that part. But then it's also building your it's building your origin pool, and it's building your HTTP load balancer, and in the load balancer, it's creating all your certificates and creating your DNS domain entry and all that stuff. So it's doing quite a lot while you went through like a little menu of a few options, and it's building quite a lot for you.
Definitely agreed. Now we can just take a look at this. The configuration is still the same, and we do have to wait for this guy to build a little bit. I wonder if we're going to get pullback. We will see. Just going to look at child objects. So these are things that are also attached to all of this, right? We've got an actual route in here. And there's our cluster and endpoints. So, right. So this will show you everything that was built through this workload. Kind of nice. I like that. And if we want to take a look at the, a little bit more into the logs or events, we can also
go to your pods real quick.
We can also do that. And yep, our pods, we have.
Okay. So that's running. Yep.
So
in that pod, two containers running in that pod. You've got your primary workload and then your wingman, right?
Yeah. Then actually those real quick to note on our three dots here where we can expand. We could do logs for either of those containers, or we can actually exec to the container if we want to bring up bash or something like that and take a look at it. If you're wondering what containers those are, there is the Nginx and also Wingman, which is a secrets management, proprietary secrets management container that we put as a sidecar with everything that we've got in our virtual K8s. So it just makes life easier in terms of securing your Kubernetes environment. And we've got one pod running complete, and no sites with an error. So we should have something good going on here. If we want to take a look at our load balancer again,
that looks healthy.
Let's actually go to manage load balancers just so we can see what was built here. The same kind of thing. We see that our certificate is valid, so that already went out to get an automated certificate for this domain name. So if I go to it, welcome to Nginx.
Whoop, whoop.
We're built. So that is one full application, and we are 19 minutes early, Jason.
I know. Well, we haven't put a security service on it yet. So
that is true.
We can add that real quick, and then we can call it good and be out of here well before an hour, which is pretty exciting.
So we want to WAF this, eh?
Well, of course.
Oh, okay.
We don't want insecure workloads on the internet, even though it's just an Nginx container that's taking no inputs.
So I think
but
we're going to
need the real thing will have, logins and data, and we'll want to protect that.
Now this, I think we should be able to, if we show the advanced fields, is that right?
Yep.
Nope, we are not going to be able to put that on here yet. I wonder if we can put that on. I wonder if we can put WAF on at the load balancer. Let's try that. That may be one of those things that is a little more difficult, but we'll see. So here we go. Oh, that's not that tough, right? We've got, look at that. I'm looking at, this is automatically created virtual server here. And as I scroll down, there are a number of different things that I could do to secure this. So I'm going to enable WAF. And we should be able to just go with a default shared policy if we want to view this configuration, let's see, defaults. This is all defaults.
Which is good for now, because we can tune and tweak and all that, but that's good, right? And starting with same defaults is a good thing.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing to note too. The defaults for AWAF are nothing on, and you build policy, right? So the defaults for distributed cloud are a little bit different. Everything is on, and if you want to exclude things, you pare it down. So we have enough compute, and we're going to make sure that works. So let's put WAF, and just for grins, you want to maybe put bot protection on this? Like, we may as well, if we can. All right, let's see. It may not be. No, there's a little too much to do. We'll maybe get that in the next episode, right? But WAF, I think, WAP is a good enough place to start. So I didn't do any of the pre-stuff for bot. API defenses there. I have not yet. I can do DOS protection, and just if I wanted to, but there's nothing really configured for it. We could do just basics. And then we do have namespace service policies on this one too. So that is kind of like routing, almost like Kubernetes ACLs, right?
Yeah.
And there we go. So, can I access? I'm not an administrator. You got to be kidding me. Yikes.
No, you're an administrator. I think we saw, we maybe hit this issue with Chaz as well.
Enforcement mode. Let's do monitoring. I'm just building a new WAF policy in case it has something to do with the policy.
Gotcha.
So this WAF policy will be built inside our namespace. I'm wondering if that's the problem, because we were looking at something that was shared, which we should be able to use. So defaults. Let me see if we can continue. So that's a new DC Media WAF policy. Exclusion, GraphQL, and nothing else. Let's see. Hopefully we can save and exit on this one. Wah, wah, wah. Well, this may be because we have a different virtual server. So watch this. Hold on. I'm going to discard my changes here, and I'm going to try to make a new load balancer called Secure Media. And we'll see if we can't use our same origin pool. We'll try it. sm.xc.thismonthinsecurity.com. Now let's go ahead and we're going to do this HTTP with auto cert. Redirect 443. We're going to do an origin pool. We should have an origin pool, but we can't do it.
Yeah. You can add an item though, right?
Custom cluster. Nope, I can't add an item, unfortunately. I can add you're right, I can. Yep. All right, so this will be sec origin 0. And let's see if we can't add. This would be K8 service name. And what did we call it?
Here, I'll look it up real quick.
The virtual site is DC Vert Site 0. We're going to put this.
The workload is DC Media.
One word?
Yep.
Okay, let's see if we can't hit this. The port is 443. No.
Port not the origin port. I think you had it set at 80.
I thought it was, this would be on the origin server. 8080 was what you put up, right?
No, it's just 80.
80? Okay.
For DC Media, you created it as 80.
You're right. And endpoint port should be good. Load balancer override. These defaults should be good. I don't need a health check right out of the gates. And disable TLS. give it a shot. All right. So that, again, I created an origin pool, and we'll see if this works out.
You want to add the WAF policy there while you're at it? Let's see if it'll
I
let
want
you.
I want to see if it works first.
Okay.
Just make sure we can get that there. We can. Okay, so secure media did come up. That's functional. I'm going to go back into load balancer management. And so the automatic cert is started, but it's not complete. We'll see, pre-domain challenge pending. So we should be able to see this. That's my hope. But we can't really get anything done until that cert is complete. So we may not even be able to get it done. We'll see. We're going to go
last
to
one was
it.
pretty fast.
It was pretty quick. The connection is not private. So this is because the cert's broken. But we'll see if we can't get any further. And if we can't, then that's okay. I mean, we got everything done except the WAF. So hopefully this will do it, though. One more refresh. I don't think we're going to get there.
Oh, domain challenge started. That changed a little bit.
It begun. Yeah, it has begun.
Well, while we're waiting for that, we can talk about the summer. DevCentral Connects is going to back off a little bit with various different trips, conferences, vacations, and all that. We're still going to be around, but we're going to be at a reduced schedule for the summer. So watch the socials and check on community.f5.com and the DevCentral Connects group. All the upcoming shows and dates will be in, you'll know about it. So, opportunity, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and click your notifications and all those things. So, but we will be slightly reduced this summer. Yep. So it's just going to take its little sweet time.
Yeah, we're moving forward, but yeah.
While we're doing that, we could go back to the actual, while we're waiting for that to come up, go back to the actual workload and trying to get there.
There we go.
Case clusters. And why am I not seeing? There we go. Was not in the applications. That's another thing. I'm moving through the menus is knowing if you're like up in the view parts versus the manage parts, and sometimes that's a little confusing for me. I'm still getting my sea legs under me with where in the menus I need to be. But if we go over to the workloads itself, we let me just share out my real quick if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
And when he was talking about, just kind of testing your workloads, you can go into, you can see your logs, and we can look at Nginx. And so we saw some requests coming from internal. We have a favicon failure in there. Interesting. We're not seeing, oh, there we go. Outside, we got a crawler coming in here. I don't know where your IP address is in that. I don't know if you're one of these 9963, but we're already having stuff coming in on this workload from the log, so we know it's working. But if, like, before we published to the outside, you want to take a look at things, you can come in here to the terminal and connect to the bash in here, and you can curl localhost, and you can see those, you can say, hey, my workload's actually working. You want to do other things like VI that file, you actually have to, VI is not in here. And so, you can add those packages in your containers by doing an update. Oh, sorry. you can do your update, and then you can install VI. Now, I'm not telling you that it's always wise. In fact, it's probably not wise to change your container configs from your containers. You should be purposely designing your containers to have the tools that they should have. But in this case, it's we're going to blow this workload away, so it's not a big deal. But you can install tools if you need to do that, and then I think it's in user share Nginx HTML is where the index page is. But if you want to like change what your page is, so if you actually wanted to deploy your container without building your own version of Nginx, and then deploying a container, you can actually still just go out there and edit the web server to be what you want to be. So I think it's user share Nginx HTML, and then vim index.html, and then in here you can change this. Let's say d for words, insert Nginx hello, f5xc demo, and then save that out. And so now if you hit that workload from the world, you should see that updated title. So if we come over here to what was it DC Media, there we go. And so so you can go make changes to your containers. I'm not telling you to do that, just saying you can do that. But it is an opportunity to just kind of discover how all the things work in a containerized world. Again, you probably want to be very purposeful building out what your containers tools are and deploy that from your source control version of truth stuff instead of going out and making changes on the fly in your containers. But for demo purposes, it's I wanted to point that out. And then you can go out here and check the logs again, and we can see that last request. So I had a SQL injection there for when we got WAF deployed with encodings for union select star from users in there in a request parameter. And so anyway, yeah. Oh, that 9963, that's me. That wasn't you. So
okay.
All right. Anyway,
this other piece is taking too long. I think we probably ought to, as we're kind of coming up on time.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, we got everything done save the WAF, and really adding the WAF on there should be as easy as just adding it on. I think if I had to guess, this is probably just something that's amiss with my account that I will have to sort out. So
yep.
Yeah, and
when we deploy our real workloads here pretty soon, we're going to need that service anyway. So we'll have that. We'll get one of the things we'll do next time is deploying containers from Docker instead of just like from our own repos instead of just a public container, and then we'll start layering on services because we really want to look at with doing some media stuff like hosting podcast files and all that. We really want to start to look at what CDN has to offer us, and what some of these other services, because if we have an API where we're actually going to be able to push our podcast files and all that in, then we want to rate limit those APIs and all that. So there's lots to do on our end that we can do down the road. But we wanted to take today just to kind of summarize everything that we did before, and I feel like that we learned a lot along the way, which informed our day today, and it was a lot easier. And some of that's just some of that is RTFM. With what we learned along the way, and some of it's just experience being in there and touching all the nerd knobs and getting comfortable in the environment.
That's right. And I will say honestly, the first time we went through this, kind of the idea was to show what is somebody going to experience when they have hit this with zero experience, right? What is that experience? And to me, I still think it's absolutely astounding that in 5 hours we got a complete overlay network built and services up and served on the internet without really any formal training or plan going into it. We just wanted to hit the ground at zero. This time, we had the initial experience, and I hope everyone can see that once you have that initial experience, my goodness, I mean, we just did the exact same thing in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I will point out too that, something like distributed cloud versus like a big IP, and not that big IP is, necessarily hard, but big IP, Nginx, any tool, it takes a long time. Like my learning curve with big IP was a lot higher in getting a workload deployed. It took me a lot longer to get comfortable with, how to do that efficiently and repeated success and all that. Whereas the on-ramp here, I think, is a lot more efficient and ingratiates me to an ease of use experience. And not to say that anything's easy, because with technology, it all takes a ramp. You have to learn the nuances. There's still some things in distributed cloud that I need to go read the documentation. So is it docs.cloud.f5.com, right? That URL, all just tons and tons and tons of reading to understand concepts in how the world of distributed cloud works. But it's it's definitely approachable, and I'm excited about our journey as we go forward.
I am too. And I think I'm not sure when the next one is going to be. What were we thinking of?
Sometime second week of July. We're going to look at synthetic monitoring. So I need to get back with Evan Kim and work out the day. But sometime, I think, second week of July, we're going to take a look at that.
I like it. And we may have some stuff done between now and then too, because really we're pushing on working this thing now. So
yep, for sure. All right, everyone, have a great week and a great conclusion to your month of June. We're almost halfway through 2023 already. Is that crazy or not?
It's not.
So, all right. Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.